my personal process of discovery with psychedelics was always one of, well, the first time I took LSD, I was very fascinated with it because I couldn't understand how such a tiny little bit of a single molecule could create such a dramatic effect. And my whole approach to psychedelics has been, let's figure this out. Because all of the books I went to, all of the experts I talked to, all of the people who were supposed to know didn't know. When I asked them what's going on in the brain, most people would say, well, it may be this or maybe this. All the books that I would read say, well, it may be this, but we just don't know, period. And I thought, that's not good enough for me. I want to know, because it's too strange and weird to not know. So my whole process of psychedelic exploration has been one of finding a theory or a model of action and then going back to the substance and testing that theory or model of action to see if it was correct. And the first model of action I explored was this spirit world or spirit contact model of action, the traditional shamanic archetype. And for about 3 or 4 years, I was fairly convinced that this was the valid answer, that psychedelics give you contact to a spirit world, and what you're seeing is some sort of spirit energy or spirit formations that are delivering information to you. And that was kind of the going line. So I wasn't feeling like I was off base there. But the more I studied it, and the more time I spent in the scene, and the more time I spent talking to people or meeting people who had done it for a while, the more I began to think, well, maybe this spirit thing isn't all it's cracked up to be, because my spiritual experiences seem to taper off. And I know that other people's spiritual experiences tended to taper off the more that they did it. And it seemed to me like there was this learning curve with psychedelics, where when you first get introduced to them, they are very spiritual and they are very magical. And you go to this very spiritual, magical place where you learn about yourself and you become, invigorated with the information that they deliver to you. But then the more you do them, the more you do psychedelics, the more things start to turn dark and weird and strange. And I couldn't gel the notion of a spirit contact with the notion of people going into these dark places and becoming eccentric and weird. Because if it was a spirit thing, people should become more spiritual and more enlightened the more they do it. And yet that wasn't my first-hand experience.